Strategy 8, budgeting. How much does it cost to go on a pilgrimage? That is a fair question, but the answer is, it depends. That is actually the most important thing I learned while doing my MBA, my Master of Business Administration. That it depends is the answer you should give most of the time, because there are so many factors and interdependencies that you need to dive deeper to understand the question. So the question of budgeting for a pilgrimage still stands. You can do this on a very low budget. Walking in one go, sleeping in hostels, buying your food in supermarkets, maybe even depending on friendliness of passerbys. Or the other extreme would be sleeping in fancy hotels, having your luggage transported for you each leg, eating out for every meal, and then you have the choices you make when it comes to your gear. Your shoes, backpack, clothing. You can make your choices based on a limited to a very high budget. My budget had elements of both. I walked the route in 6 parts, which meant that I flew to Italy 6 times. Yes, I compensated my carbon footprint. I slept in hostels, B&Bs and simple hotels a couple of times. I found out during the route that I love having lunch in Italy, so I sat down and enjoyed the Italian pranzo almost every day. My budget was sufficient to cover these expenses. Did I know in advance how much I would need exactly? No, but I estimated it by making some assumptions. Let's get back to CX, because budgeting is a hot topic. I've also noticed that not so many CX leaders are very good at this. Most are asking for budgets that are too low, or they are missing the mark in the annual budgeting rounds. They might be thinking they can make progress with the little funds they have, or they are assuming they won't get it at all, so they're not even going to ask for it. And that last thing is a mindset issue. Stop all of that. You need a part of the cake, the budget or the employee cake, to get the results. We're in the business of business as CX leaders. You need a budget for tools, help of consultants, communication, inspiring speakers, visiting conventions, etc. The good thing, you have your BHAG. You know where you want to go. And you also know where you are now. The as is, the here and now. And you have the to be, your future state. Plus the phases you will go through the next years. Now go to year 1. Take a spreadsheet and think of all required elements you will need to have an impact and to deliver results. Then start making assumptions of the investment one by one. You see, it isn't that difficult. When you're finished, have a conversation with some colleagues and get their view on the different elements and the financial part. Of course, you cannot just ask for large sums. You will need to calculate the ROI, the return of investment. I know not many have figured that out completely, which is okay, but this is where you have to make assumptions as well. Then validate those with colleagues in contact centers and the CFO department. Even if you don't have the proven numbers, try to be creative. Create a fact sheet with quotes from authorities out there, like Forrester, Qualtrics, or hey, you could even use one of my quotes. Once you have your budgeting request, it is time to get out there. You have done your stakeholder work, now it's time to reframe possible negative thoughts. Dare to ask, really. I fully understand that this might not be your favorite part of being a CX leader. I had an easy budget round when arranging my pilgrim's budget, because I was the one with the funds and the request for the budget. I knew I needed to do this and I had the money to make it happen, and the time I created space for this in my calendar. Always remember that we are in the business of customer experience management. Money is required to bring in results, and you are here to make that happen.